Hi everyone, and welcome to Easy Eats for Everyone. Today we're going to be making a delicious and simple 2-ingredient bagel. Before we get started, please remember to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, pull your hair back, and if you can't social distance, grab a mask. We'll see you in just a moment. Before you get started, you're going to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Please remember, always check inside to make sure you don't have anything stored. We don't want to have anyone burn themselves unknowingly having hot items inside when they go to put in the baking sheet. Your kit's going to include quite a few ingredients. You're going to get the dough that's going to make your bagels. Each dough kit will have enough for 8 bagels. You'll also get extra flour. You're going to get a couple toppings, including everything bagel seasoning, sesame seeds, and poppy seeds. Or you could just leave your bagel plain, or even add any onion or garlic you have on top. You will receive an egg mixture, and the egg mixture is going to be 1 egg, a little bit of salt and water that we're going to mix together, and this is going to be for an egg wash. From your house, you're going to need a baking sheet and cooking spray. If you do have parchment paper, you can put that down. Before we even get started, you're going to spray the paper or the baking sheet very lightly. This will brown the bottom of the bagels. It will also keep them from sticking. And if you have a knife, you do not have to use a knife like this. You can use just a regular butter knife, but probably something a little bit heavier than just a plastic knife. And of course, please make sure you have a pot holder to put your items in and out of the oven. Once you take your dough out of the kit and out of the container, making sure it's fully thawed, you're going to just kind of want to squeeze it a little bit, and this is kneading. It's a great process. You're a little bit stressed out. And this is just to make sure that our dough is smooth and that we're going to be able to cut it. It is going to be a little bit sticky. That is okay. That's why you have extra flour. You can put the flour down before or right after you started kneading it. You don't want too much flour because we don't want to dry out the bagels. And then you're just going to roll it a little bit. It does not have to be a perfect shape, but you are going to want to cut it into equal parts. We're only making 4 bagels here. Your kit will have enough for 8. When you're using a knife, please make sure to keep your fingers away from the blade. Make sure there's nothing else around you. And if you don't feel comfortable, please don't use a knife and ask for help. So we're going to cut these bagels and put the knife down. You don't want to leave it on the side like this. Someone could bump into it and hurt themselves. So really remove it off the space that you're cutting and put it in a safe place. You're now going to have separate pieces. They should look pretty equal in size, and you can always change this as you're rolling them. And we're simply going to take these pieces and roll them into balls. Now, if you have too much flour, this is going to be hard to do because it's going to get dry. So that's why we want to use just a tiny bit of flour, just so it doesn't stick to your hands. And you notice this one's a little bit smaller than this one. We can just take a little bit of dough off, add it, and re-roll. Super easy fix. These do not have to be a perfect shape. You just want them to be round in size. We're going to really move them around when we make them into a bagel. And now we have from 4 pieces to 4 round pieces. You can dip your finger into the flour, and this again is just so it doesn't stick. And you're really just going to place your finger in the center of the ball and press down and turn. Feels a little weird, a little squishy, that's okay. Flip it over again, a little more flour, and push your finger back into that hole. And then you're just going to shape the dough into a bagel or donut. We're making bagels with that shape. Does not have to be perfect. These are going to poof up and look beautiful once we cook them. Each time you finish making one, place it on the baking sheet. Again, you've already sprayed your baking sheet. So this way, you don't have to do anything but put them right on there. Again, we're going to form the bagel. And then just kind of make the shape more into a bagel shape. What's fun about these is if you didn't want a round bagel, let's say you wanted to make a letter, someone's birthday, and you wanted to do something fun, you could really do that too. Or if you wanted to make, say, a longer bagel, maybe you wanted to make something a little bit longer, maybe you wanted to make a bagel pizza, and instead of slicing the bagel, you wanted it to be a little bit longer so you could actually cut it in half, almost like a sub roll. You could do that as well. It's really so versatile in how you can shape these and make these and make them really special for different occasions. Perfect. So once you have shaped all your bagels, you're going to take a little bit of egg wash, and that's going to come into your kit. Again, we're going to take 1 egg, a teaspoon of water, and some salt, and we whisk that together so it's really nice and loose. You can either use a brush if you have it, or we're just going to use our fingers. I would not suggest using bare fingers if more than one person are eating the bagels. I would definitely use a glove if you can. And we're going to coat this on top. All the egg wash does is gives the bagel a very nice shine, and it acts as an agent to bind. We've talked about this before when we did our breadcrumbs for the meatballs. We talked about this when we did our chicken. The egg binds, which means it holds an ingredient on top of whatever we're doing. So we're gonna do some everything bagels, and you're just sprinkling the topping on there. Let's do some sesame. And you can put as much as you want on there or as little. We'll leave a plain one for those that like the plain bagel. And why don't we do a nice little poppy seed as well. Next, we're gonna open our oven. Again, please make sure everyone is aware I'm opening the oven. It's going to be hot over here. You're gonna use your pot holder to place the tray in the oven. We're going to put this in for 10 minutes, then we're gonna take it out and turn it around and cook it for another 10 minutes. See you in a few. So it's been about 10 minutes, our timer ran off. Again, please make sure everyone around you is aware you're opening up the oven. Using your pot holder, take out the baking sheet. You can see they're already starting to form. And all you're gonna do is turn your baking sheet around and put this back in the oven. You're not doing anything else. This is just to give the bagel an even cooking all around. Now this recipe does call for you to turn up the oven to about 450 degrees for the last 4 or 5 minutes. You really don't have to. These will still be nice on top, cooked throughout, golden on the bottom. But if you didn't like the way that the bagel looked, if it looked a little bit too light and you wanted it to be a little darker, you could do that at the end. We'll see you in 10 minutes. So it's been 10 minutes longer before you take the bagels out of the oven. Check them to make sure that the tops of them have that nice brown look to them, which these do. Make sure to turn off your oven. Open the door all the way, again letting people know you're using the oven. And when you pull the baking sheet out, make sure that it is on a surface that is safe to be hot. Now we did not turn the oven up to 450 degrees because we didn't need to. These have a nice golden top to them. They're not overdone. You see we have our little almost sub-style bagel. They are extremely hot though. We're gonna remove this from the pan and I'm gonna let it cool for about 2 to 3 minutes before we cut them. Your kit will also include cream cheese and butter. Of course, you can put whatever else you like on the bagel. We talked about maybe making them a pizza bagel with a little bit of sauce and cheese. But really the possibilities are endless for what you do with these bagels. We'll see you in just a couple minutes when this cools down. We'll slice open our bagel and get it ready to serve. So our bagel's cooled down just enough to touch it, but it's still nice and warm. This is where you're gonna wanna use a sharper knife in your house. And again, probably not a butter knife. Again, if you do not feel comfortable, please ask for help. So you're gonna lay your bagel on the side, tucking in your fingers and making sure that your thumb is pulled back. Gently slice through the bagel. You can lift it up and cut it down, or you might have a bagel slicer in your house, which is way easier. You're gonna see when we pop this open, it's cooked all the way through. It's nice and hot. You can use the butter, and that's where you might want to use that butter knife. But it's going to just melt beautifully right on top. I don't use the butter here. You can use butter. You can use cream cheese. You can eat it plain. These are going to have a lot of flavor to them. But you see it has a beautiful melt. It's going to be absolutely delicious. Another fun thing to do with your bagels, you're going to see later this month that we're going to have some fun egg videos coming to you. Really layering a nice egg white omelet on top. You could melt cheese right on there, make yourself a nice little healthy, because of the size, perfect portioned bagel sandwich. Thank you again for joining us at Easy Eats. Remember, at Easy Eats for everyone, we want cooking to be fun and easy for everyone.